Isaiah and Stevie have very interesting relationships with their parents. I, being a creative myself, I know all about that because my dad had no idea what the hell I was doing all this time until he saw I got a check for it, and that's when he was like, "Oh, okay, it's a job." Stevie had that same relationship with his dad, who didn't take his not Stevie. Isaiah had that same relationship with his dad, who didn't take his art very seriously. And Stevie, you had a really complex relationship with your parents as far as selling the idea of your relationship with Isaiah. Now, in real life, did you guys ever had that same problem with your parents growing up and trying to sell your craft to them?
I didn't have that problem at all. I feel so privileged because my parents have always been extremely supportive. They've always pushed me to like explore and see what my passions were. So for me, I was just lucky that as immigrants coming to the Netherlands, they didn't have that mentality of, don't do anything creative, do something that's actually worth the fact that we came here, which I also understand is like survival mentality, which is very real. But I think generations to come, like Black people all over, are gonna see that the real joy and real happiness is in finding that freedom in whatever you want to do. So I'm lucky that my parents kind of got a head start on that. I feel lucky.
How about you,
I
Kobe?
I could definitely relate. I feel like it was a blend, it was a balance. It's like even though my parents supported me, mom and dad. My mom, she, she her support was different. My dad was like, I still want, like, you gotta prove it. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's like, you gotta prove it. Like, I see your boys out there doing woo woo. Like, you gotta prove it. So I feel like that's just the African in him. But at the end of the day, he always supported every time there was something to share or like be proud of. He was hype. You know what I'm saying? But
So,
he always had that like you gotta prove it energy. So it was kind of it was a blend. My mom kind of offset it that.
good. That's what mom's here for. That's what she always does.
That's the whole point. So
So, in the movie, Kofi, your character had this bomb ass line, and he said to Stevie, "How do you know when you're making love to someone?" Now, y'all didn't really explain it with your words. You more or less explained it with your actions. Now, could you put that answer into words for me? Can the both of y'all do that?
how do you know when you're making? You said, how do you know? How do you know
No,
when you're
you.
making something?
How do you know when the painting is finished? And then you
And yeah,
stop. How do you
And that
know?
was,
Yeah.
I got you. So what's the question?
could you put
Ah,
that? Can you explain that in words? You did it with your actions, but can you put that in words for us? Like, how do you know?
when you're making love to someone, that's a
Okay,
very
I was about to say, okay, that's a real question. It
that's
could go a lot of ways too.
whoa. Okay, Bernard.
I guess for me, I'm gonna say when you stop thinking. When you stop thinking, when it's like really just flowing, and you let yourself be there. You let yourself go. You like, oh shit, I guess this is love. You know what I'm saying? Or
Yeah,
yeah,
it's almost like fully surrendering,
it's like a
being able
surrender.
to like be present. Usually, there's always a level of consciousness going on,
Hmm.
and you're like, okay, so that's what we're doing. Or but if you just fully like surrender, you can actually like have that transcending experience, and that's when you kind of let go of. Yeah, that's I think that's yeah.
It's a fair answer
Yeah.
when there's like no inhibitions, everything just freely flows and it feels really good. I got that. I actually agree with that. Mac, what's going on, brother?
Hey, what's good, my G?
It's good to see you, man.
You as well, man.
Of course, of course. Let's get right into this. Now, in the film, I asked your co-stars about this one particular line that Kofi said, and he said to Stevie, he asked her, when do you know you're making love to someone?
Hmm.
Now I want to know. He put that, and they answered that question with their actions, of course. Can you actually answer that question with your words? When do you know that?
He no the quote was she asks
As
him, she
when is
asks
the
him, when do you know you're finished with your painting?
painting?
He
Right,
said, how do you know when you're making love?
right.
Um question is, how do you know when you're making love?
Yeah.
you just feel it. You just feel it. It's different. You know, it's not a physical thing. Shit, a lot of times it's not even a mental thing. Like it supersedes just your physical, mental, emotional. Like it's something that hits every check mark, but also the check mark that you don't know of. That's how you know you're making love. It's something that hits all of those checks, but also something that it reaches something that's past what you actually can feel. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay, I like that answer. I like that answer a lot. Now Isaiah was creatively stuck in a way till after that first date. And he got some inspiration from Stevie, of course, after that to, kind of got his juices flowing again. Was there ever a time, and as being an actor and a musician, where you were creatively stuck and you got some inspiration from a significant other or a friend or a moment that you witnessed?
Oh man, all the time, all the time. I tell everybody, the best inspiration as an artist is to just live life. Anything could be that inspiration. Anything could be that muse for the moment. It could be a certain place that you live, a certain view. It could be the woman that's laying next to you. It could be the woman that you dream of. It could be the feeling of happiness. It could be the bird flying by your window. You can draw inspiration from anything. The biggest thing is, what are you open to? Right. I think that is the thing that artists are constantly looking for. It's kind of like, I think of inspiration a lot of times like a puzzle piece. You just have to figure out what piece that you need to click in for that perfect feeling, and allow the art to kind of just blossom through you.
Dope. Now, wrapping things up. Isaiah had a unique relationship with his parents, especially his dad, who really didn't see his career as very lucrative. And I can relate to that because my dad didn't know what the hell I was doing for a while until he saw a check. He was like, okay, I get it now. Yeah. So was that the same way with your parents when it came to your career and, music wise, and of course, acting first? Was that the same thing for you?
Kind of, but not really. I grew up in a very creative household, like my dad was a singer. My mom, well, my dad was more than a singer. My dad was a singer. He was an artist, like an actual painter. My dad built things. Like he was, siblings were creative. It's because of my dad. Like he bestowed all of his creativity amongst us. So I grew up in a very, very, very creative household. My mom is somebody who loves all types of art. So she was someone who appreciated it. My dad was somebody who created it. So I always came from a place that art was respected and loved and cherished. But when I decided, I wanted to really get into acting and not actually seeing anybody from our neighborhood who actually made it, or even knowing the ways to make it, to get to even just to get to an audition. What are you talking about? Like, how do you make it on the television? There was a little pushback, just on some like, I don't know, you need to figure out something else. This doesn't seem like it's super long term. But as soon as everything started to move, it was, everything was fun, everything changed. But the funniest thing is, if I would have decided to do music first, the whole thing would have been different. My dad would have been like, run, do it. But, the acting came first. So it was what it was.
Dope. Great answer, man. Thank you.